Hi everyone, this is JERVIEL and you're watching YWork TV. Today is actually the first interview session that we ever have on YWork TV. Remember, I did talk about our interview segments. It's called My Time With. So every month we will get to talk to someone who I think is interesting or inspiring, and for that period of 20 minutes, you get to learn from them about their stories, their experiences, their inspirations, or the tips that they have just for you. We actually included a very interesting segment in the interview session. It's actually called Blast from the Past. So what is this segment all about, right? So in this segment, our guests will actually leave a message for their future self. So how it works? So we let them record whatever they want to tell the self, which is 5 years down the road. And hopefully, YWork will still be around 5 years down the road, and we will show them what they left as a message for themselves. So that's quite interesting for some of the responses. I can't wait for you to see that. Right. So today, since it's our first day of our first session for interview, I actually get to invite a very special friend of mine. His name is called Zoo. Zoo is actually a very interesting person. He's very outgoing and very spontaneous and very straightforward speaking, right? And he is actually into the social media arena. He has been a social media consultant for various organizations. He is also a very active blogger. He is crazy everyone on Facebook and Instagram. And his current workplace right now, he's even a social media, consultant on strategies. So in this session, we actually got to talk to him on what makes him go into this social media arena. What are the things to look out for, especially right now as Gen Ys that we are working. Social media could be a double-edged sword. So how can we manage it? And for those who are looking into moving into the social media arena, what's the first step that you could take? Right? So all these interesting things will all happen in the following segment that I have with Zoo. So right now, let's go to the interview session. So good morning everyone. Today is Good Friday and I'm doing an interview with Zul. Hi Zul.
Hello.
Right. Zul was just sharing with me about his Angry Birds. Maybe you just want to show Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker.
There. Luke Skywalker.
So those two will be our special guests today.
Yeah. Meow, meow. Okay. Yes.
Okay. So I was just sharing with everyone that you are really into the social media arena and stuff like that. So today, just understand a bit more, like why do you get into this, and what are the things that you encounter using social media, and how can we use social media and all that.
Right.
So I just want to understand, help us to understand why social media. What gets you into that arena?
I actually started out by blogging. I think back then, 2005 Blogspot was really popular. I don't know if you recall that, but then I even as a young kid, I was more of a hipster because I didn't really like the whole Blogspot thing. So I built my own website, blah 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 blah, and then eventually I had this website called losemybreath.net. Some people, who read my blog then are still friends with me now. So I guess that's how social media in the early days actually worked. And eventually I moved on to another blog called Donsha, and that was during the Singapore Idol period, and there was a lot of the fanaticism of other Singaporeans, and that was like actually one of the first few times that Singaporeans were actually into each other. And with my personal blog and I actually made fan sites for some of the contestants, and from then on I got to get to know some of the contestants personally, and then I got to interact with their fans, and then from then on I slowly moved on to Twitter. And I started off Twitter very slowly because I didn't get the concept, but then I realized it was like microblogging. It was like blogging every minute you can. So I guess that is, it makes you more accessible to people rather than going to an event and blogging about it at the end, but rather you can just tweet about it whereas and then you are there. So I guess that's how that got me into social media and like Twitter and things like that. So
it was kind of unintentional, right? It was just like for a fun sake in the beginning, you know, doing a blog, and subsequently it moves on to where
I
it
mean,
is right now?
as a kid growing up, like you tend to like you want to tell you want to tell your friends that what you're doing with your life and everything, but then you realize that there is a bigger outlet for you to actually voice out your opinions, voice out your likes and dislikes, and then that's how blogging started. So I mean, unintentional, I think not, because I was very into it. Like there were campaigns back then, like RippleVox, which allows bloggers like myself to talk about brands and their products, and and if we did a good job, we get the product. So we are actually like the advocates. So I don't think it was unintentional. I think it was intentional that that you voice out your opinions. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so writing on that about having our voices heard, right? I mean, social media is a platform where everybody speaks freely in a way, right? And but sometimes you don't get repercussions. So to Gen Ys out there who are like working and studying, I mean, for me, I tend to struggle with posting things on social media, and then yet at work and in other parts of our life, you need to maintain a certain image. What's your view on this? Do we actually allow ourselves to be really seen on social media with whatever we post, or should we just keep in mind of what we post?
See, I mean, that's the thing. People, when on social media, they get obsessed by the number of retweets they get. They get obsessed by how many likes they get on a post, or and I think people need to realize that a social, putting yourself on social media doesn't mean no one can see you. Even if you have 0 followers, people can still track you down. And people don't understand that no matter how protected your account is, especially on Facebook, your shit. Sorry, can I curse?
Totally.
Okay. People don't realize that when they protect their shit on Facebook, when shit still gets leaked out, it's like even if you have a really good bowel, if you cannot take it, shit will still come out. So social media is something like that. You need to really take care of what you say, and a lot of the times, people assume that it's okay for me to say whatever I want. And while yes, I am an advocate of speaking your mind, and you must understand that you also have your audience, you have your following, and that you putting yourself on a social media means that you are branding yourself. So if you don't like a certain thing, that means you either talk bad about it or you don't talk about it at all.
Okay. So from that, is there are there values that guide you when you do certain posts, or certain beliefs that put the boundaries when you post something?
I personally, I post things that I feel passionate about. If like on the case of the race issue, I don't talk about race. I only talk about race if other people were to talk smack about another race. I mean, I personally don't stand for racism, so that's why I don't act out racist. Yeah. So for a personal rule for me is that I try not to offend. As much as I'm a person who, if you're offended, you can unfollow, but I try not to offend, because I do foster a relationship with a lot of my followers. It's not fair for me to actually betray their trust like that.
So what would be your advice to people out there who wants to go into this social media arena, because it seems like there's a lot of things that you need to take note of?
Social media in terms of work, or just personal?
I mean, if you can go into both, that'd be great.
Okay, for personal, I think you need to separate yourself from the persona that is what you put online. What you put online shouldn't be 100% of you. It should be maybe, let's say, a 75% of you. You can't reveal too much on social media, because that makes you very vulnerable in real life. You shouldn't reveal every single part, because that's what I did as well. Like, I revealed too much of myself to the point where when I see my relatives, I have to say, oh shit, did she read my tweet or did she not? So it's about pulling yourself back and knowing when to stop. Different people have different degrees. Some people don't really care. Some people do. So I think it's about knowing who you are on social media, because who you are on social media can can may not translate to who you are in person. And because sometimes you retweet things that don't necessarily represent you, but you like it, and then people think, oh shit,
This is you.
Do they assume that you are like that?
Okay.
Those are one of the things that I talk about. And for work, I think for social media, you just really need to be socially vocal in real life. So I mean that's how I got my job. I make contacts, I talk to people, and people like people like what you have to offer. And basically, social media is basically a lot of things that it's never ending copywriting and never ending engagement. So that makes sense lah.
So I mean, I do agree on the part where you should not expose too much of yourself online. I mean, you should really share things that are very personal to you, to people that you can trust, because out in social media, I mean, it's a whole lot of audience out there,
Yeah.
and I mean, of course, it's brave to share your whole story with everybody, but unless you're really comfortable with dealing with so-called the repercussions after that,
Yeah.
otherwise, I think you should just keep it to people that you know personally and who can trust. All right, talking about your work, I mean, I follow you on Twitter and Facebook, and you have a very interesting work in the day, right?
Currently, I'm serving national service, so
Yeah.
I do a bit of their social media as well. Like I would act as the social media consultant of my organization. I mean, it's great lah. I mean, like, it's great that I can continue to do what I did before NS, and then I still do it during NS, and then after NS, I'm gonna hopefully pursue that as well. And it's nice to it's a different environment. Before NS, you are working with companies. I work with Sentosa, StarHub, just to name a few, and you do social media for them, and you can go places with them. You can be a bit risque. You can talk a little bit more. You can talk a bit. But when it comes to an organization, a government organization, on social media, they have to be wary of what they say and everything. So I think when you do social media for a different company, it tends to have more restraint on you. So you have to find loopholes, and you have to find ways to get through to engage the audience even more. If you want to be a social media consultant, you need to have a lot of guts. To even in the force, I would always say, what, that's shit. Don't do that, because a lot of people tend to think Facebook is the answer. Like, to them, Facebook is God. Facebook has this huge amount of pool of people who can love your product. But to me, and to what other social media experts say, is that Facebook is not the only platform, and even so, you can't exactly pinpoint where your audience is. So you need to work with Twitter, you need to work with Instagram. Like, there's more to it than just, it's not one dimensional. And a lot of people go into social media, a lot of brands go into social media thinking that, oh, Facebook is the only channel, and there's more opportunities out there.
Talk about something quite daring. I mean, from what you said just now about working in the public sectors. Okay, I mean, governmental bodies, a step board, and all that. Like you mentioned, I think there are a lot of Gen Ys out there who are working in this kind of organizations, and they are, Gen Ys are always with creative ideas. They want to break through and all that, but in the environment, you're kind of constrained. And some of them maybe in the marketing department and all that. How can they take their creativity in terms of social media out in that arena? Put yourself on the line.
Yeah, put yourself on the line, because that is the only way for your ideas to actually reach out. Because if you don't voice out, a lot of people think that, oh, just because he's my boss, I have to be afraid of him. your boss is, you should look at your boss as a colleague rather than a colleague who's higher than you, lah. Not say like a boss who controls you and you must do everything in a certain way. Because I personally believe that if you have a really good idea, you should at least let somebody hear about it to actually get it out there.
So whether it's accepted or not, I think you're saying that we should just put forward our idea.
Yes, because I think it's because we are, as much as we are working for a company, we are also their consumers. So we would know what they want, because sometimes all bosses do, they just sit inside the office and just plan for the company, but not the marketing aspect of it. They're not necessarily the consumer. So
So they're not on the ground, so we are the person who can get that intelligence pretty much for them.
Yeah.
Okay. So just now you were sharing with us that after you finish on national service period and you decide to go into social media, hopefully, what are your plans? For that.
Personally, I don't plan to go back to school just yet. I want to do more of connection, more of work, more of brand knowledge, account managing. So I think I'm taking baby steps, because personally speaking, I didn't really do well in poly. I believe I took the wrong diploma. But so that iterates to me going back to work to earn a bit more, to go back to school. And even so, that is only if I'm into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing from you is the usual step that people take is diploma and then go to degree, like directly, right? Or you work and then you take degree. So many people take degree for the sake of, okay, I need a better job. That is how Singapore education culture is.
The problem with Singapore education is that you have to have paper. You have to have a degree. Parents try to inculcate to the kids that you need to go all the way to masters.
You get that paper. You need to get that paper to survive.
Like, you don't. There are people who are successful who don't even have an O-level cert. So I think the problem with Singaporeans is that they tend to think that this traditional mindset of the 80s or of the 70s still applies today. I have seen school dropouts who are happier, who are more successful after they dropped out than when they were in school. So it's more about knowing who you are as a person and what you want to achieve. Of course, some things like banking or being a doctor, yes, you need the paper, fine. But for arts and other fields, you don't really need to. It'll be nice to have a degree, but a degree is not the only answer. So yeah.
Oh my God, I'm going to seriously give you a hug right now, because you really speak my mind about arts and the education system. Really,
Yeah.
I also feel as much as you. I think we place too much emphasis on the paper, and we really forgo things about a holistic development of the education system. Like it's about arts, it's about music.
I regretted going to the poly that I went and with the diploma, because I only learned 30% of the things that they taught me there, and the previous 70%, all I did by myself. And I didn't get a good grade for it, because I was actually doing better than the lecturers. I will say that. Like, I can go into class, do a presentation on video format, and the teacher doesn't even know what an MP4 format is.
Oh.
Like, and then she has a cheek to give me a bad grade. Then I'm like, and like, half of the time they just tell you, oh, you do this project, and then when you come into a stumbling block, I understand that students are encouraged to research and find out and solve their own problems. But when your lecturer doesn't even know shit and tells you to Google for your problems, it doesn't work out that way. So even in the Singaporean education system, even our teachers some of them aren't even, qualified, and you yourself have to know that you can be better than them. What is written on your paper is not definitive of
Who you are.
who you are, because you can do so much better than whatever grade they throw on you.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you are actually taking a very different route from everybody else, right? And I think that is very courageous for you to do it. I mean, it's not easy. Sometimes you may be perceived as different, or even in class you may be perceived as the weird one or the odd one out, right? I mean, having to be somehow better than the lecturers, or having better ideas than the lecturers and all that. So do you along the way feel sometimes inadequate?
Feeling of inadequacy, I try to not feel inadequate in any situation that I put myself in, because thinking that you're not good enough is setting yourself up for failure. Like at work, like I'm not really good with the camera, but I don't tell people that, I don't know. I don't say I don't know how to do it. I just take it, I look at it, I learn, and I try to
Figure it
understand
out.
it. Yeah, figure it out. And then you cannot act as if the first time you fall, that means throughout the whole time you're going to be inadequate. It has to be, you have to grow from it. You can't just, fall once and then just don't get back up, because, and that's how I don't feel inadequate, because you don't tell yourself that you're inadequate. You tell yourself to do it again and try, try a different method, do it again, or find another option. So never tell yourself that you're inadequate. I don't.
Okay, we have this segment that I threw it last minute. Okay, it's called Blast from the Past.
Blast from the past.
We want you to actually deposit a message here that you would tell yourself, which is the 5 years down the road. So maybe 5 years down the road, we'll look back at this video, and that message you want to give to that person 5 years down the road.
I don't even know what I'm gonna do in 5 years.
No, it could be a message, it could be a dream, it could be a belief that you want to tell yourself the 5 years down the road. So you speaking to your future self.
I hope you lost all the weight.
Okay, and
Yeah, I would tell myself that what I really want is to be able to see the world, bring my family along and see the world in 5 years. But it's only possible if I, within the 5 years, be very successful at what I do. Because in 5 years, I'm only going to be 28. So I won't even reach 30 by then. So
who knows what will happen?
Yeah, who knows what will happen, right?
Who knows?
I might even go overseas to work. So
Woo!
yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Zul, for your time. I have a very interactive and true, honest conversation with you. And this is our first episode on as an interview, and you are like, woo, so many.
My God.
Why? Oh my God. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. We hope to catch up with you again. 5 years, okay? And we're gonna show you this video 5 years down the road.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so I hope that you have enjoyed the very fun session that I have with Zoo, especially all the Angry Birds. Yeah. How I find, what I've learned from him, and after this interview session, I think it's about dreams. Yeah, I mean, he actually dare to dream, dare to take the step, and I particularly like the part on the later part of the interview where he talks about his dream. He has not been on a plane before. I think Gen Ys are driven by that passion and to dream, no matter what age are you, no matter what is your circumstances, even though you may not have tried before, dream it and work towards it. I think that's the key message that I learned from him. So I also hope that you learn something from him, and if you'd like to connect with him, look for him on Twitter or Facebook. And I hope that you'll actually like the entire session that I have. It's the first time that we do it, so do give me your inputs on our various platforms that's described in the description tab below, and keep the conversation going on. right? So we have more interviews for you, we have more content for you. So subscribe to any of our platforms and we shall catch you again. And so till then, goodbye.